The New York Knicks are 8-2 in their last 10 games and are starting to hit their stride. So, let's talk about it.
They're playing basketball. Basketball.
You're listening to the Knicks Nation podcast, where we've got all your Knicks needs covered.
Puts up a three. Bang! Bang! He ties the game!
Now, live from the city that never sleeps, here are your hosts, Anthony and Chris.
What is going on, everybody? I'm your host, Anthony, and today joined by a special guest, LV, filling in for Chris, talking about the New York Knicks, 8-2 in their last 10, strap in, afternoon, hoops, conversation. I always love that. LV, welcome to the show. What's going on?
I appreciate you having me, man. Let's get into this talks, man. Knicks have been rolling as of late, so let's get right to it.
Yes, they have. Look, LV, 8-2 in their last 10 games. Number one offense in the league, 123.7 points per possession. Defensively, they have improved over these last 3 games as well. Of course, you got the Pelicans in there, which are currently a G League team, but, you know, you play who's on your schedule. But guys are stepping up. Bridges stepping up. The Payne Deuce McBride duo off the bench has been absolutely incredible. Offensively, look, we came into the season thinking that this will be an elite offense, and LV, this is starting to, obviously, it's still early, it's December, but I mean, it's just a positive sign that they've already clicked this early in the season, man. I mean, what we're seeing is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, this is kind of what they expected when they made that deal for Karl Anthony Towns, right, on the offensive end. Okay, of course, we'll touch on the defensive stuff, but offensively, they've been exactly what we've expected, right? Top 5 in offense, the offensive rating in the league. It's been extremely, extremely great to see. It's been a seamless move for Towns to come over to New York City, man. And I think that he's been able to take his game actually to the next level. He's actually playing better than how he played last year. Just efficiency altogether. You know, there has been talks about him possibly playing the 4. I think at the 5 is where he's most dominant. He's able to spread the floor out. He's like Joker to me on the East Coast. Yeah, just man. The way he's doing. I think his assist numbers are kind of not as high as they should be because of all the things that he's doing across the board. That pass that he made last night, like I said, if anybody from New York City, you felt like you were in Dykeman last night when he did that. He did that move. The ceiling was about to explode last night when he did that. You know what I mean? So he's made a seamless change, and then altogether, man, it's made things so much easier for Brunson, man. Look what it's done for Brunson. Brunson is almost at the point now where he's going to be averaging possibly a double-double, right? So now he's averaging 25.2 and basically 8 assists a game. He can easily have that up to 10 assists a game. Just everything that's going on, but it's all because of the addition of Towns. That 5-out spread look is changing everything for this team, and I think it's propelling us to where we could possibly, be hoisting up that trophy at the end of the season.
Let's go, preaching into existence. But yeah, man, well said. Look, Towns has come in here and, exceeded my expectations. Obviously, didn't really watch him in Minnesota that much. You knew him to be this, big man who's super talented. And, now that we have him in our building, it's like, wow, this dude is like unreal, man. The passing has been unreal. I mean, and 5-out offense has been, amazing for this Knicks team. And the Brunson and Cat chemistry, the pick and rolls are becoming the most lethal. And, it's not even them. Like, that's the thing. It's OG Anunoby, having a career offensive season thus far. It's Mikal Bridges. He was struggling. We'll talk about him in a little bit. And Josh Hart's having a career year as well. So, yeah, I mean, Cat has come in here and just changed everything. And, you see it. Like, with some of these guys, it's like it's still going to take a while for things to click, but what I'm seeing so far is very promising. Look, we want to strive to obviously be hosting up that trophy in June and be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and we still got to get to Boston, and, we're well on our way to do that. But, yeah, so let's get over to Bridges, right? So Bridges, over his last 2 games, 25 points a game, 3 rebounds, 9 of 18 from 3. What I love is that he's even though he hasn't really been shooting the 3 well prior to these last 2 games, LV, he's still shooting it, man. He's shooting with confidence. And, the Knicks have kind of instilled some confidence, as you hear in the post games, Josh Hart getting his back and whatnot. But what I also love is his defense over these last couple has improved. And, that has been the main talking point when we talk about Mikal Bridges is where is this great defensive player that a couple of years ago finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting? Where has that been? Wingstop has been closed. But these last couple, Mikal has looked good, LV.
Listen, I think he's shut up all the doubters, man. This game is easy. This game is not hard, man. It's not hard, but at times when people come together, it's going to take time to adjust. It's, I don't know if anybody's ever played. I played in high school and college. That jump from high school to college is a huge leap. It really, really is. But the leap is not really so much your skills. You don't forget how to play. You got to adapt to your team. You got to adapt to the players around you. So it's going to take some time. This is not a thing to where you say, okay, he was this, so now he's going to be that with us. It doesn't go like that. Total team chemistry is totally different. Then also, too, remember, guys, he changed the way he played in Phoenix when he was with Brooklyn. He had to be the top guy to pretty much say, okay, I got to put all the offensive on my shoulders. So that changes how you play. It really, truly does. So you can't just come to a new team and say, okay, now I'm not going to shoot the ball anymore. I'm just going to play defense. Because he's a better offensive player now than what he was in Phoenix. So sometimes you got to give to get, right? So it was an adjustment period for him. And the way the slander was out there was insane. Like I said it on my show, I kind of went in. And the reason why is because this guy hasn't forgotten how to play basketball. He hasn't. And so in time, he's going to come together. And I said it on my show. Actually, I screamed it on my show. We're going to need him in April. We're going to need him in May. We're going to need him in June. We're going to need him. So we got to uplift this guy and really help him through these tough times, not kick him while he's down. But now you see, even last night, I thought he played great defensively. He got in the passing lanes. He had 2 steals last night. He looked extremely better coming off of screens. But once again, it's going to take time. He's figuring out I call it pockets, right? He's figuring out his pockets where he can do his thing with this team and really understand where he can do the certain things that he wants to do as far as shoot and score. And when he says, okay, you know what, now I need to defend and now I need to lock in. It's not just a switch that goes off. It doesn't go like that. And so I love the transition that he's making slowly but surely. I can see him turning the corner right here, and this is pretty much at a perfect time because we're kind of getting into the softer part of our schedule in December. So I think this is a perfect time for him to really take his game to the next level.
And Bridges was getting those slings, man. I mean, he was those slings and arrows from everyone. You traded how many picks for this guy? This guy needs to, produce. And look, man, I mean, the way this Knicks offense is set up, like, you're going to have games where Bridges is going to give you 15 points and but as long as as long as the offense is flowing and he's doing his thing defensively, I don't care about his averages, man. Like, I really don't. And that's what people, I think, kind of get caught up in. They see it they box score watch. They don't actually watch the games. But, for the majority part, obviously it hasn't looked good for Bridges. But I agree. Look, I mean, his stats at MSG they're great. 20 points a game, 3.5 assists a game, 37% from 3, 54% from mid-range, 71% at the rim, 46% from corner 3. The only problem has been his above the break threes where he's shooting 22%, which is, not good. And obviously he's going to improve on that. He's not a 22% above the break 3-point shooter, but leads the NBA in minutes in 37.8 a game. I think Fox is behind him, but yeah, I mean, look, it's been a rough, bumpy road for Bridges to start the season, but I just love what I'm seeing, these last few games, especially at MSG. And if you were to put a worryometer on it, from 1 to 10, I guess before these 2 games, I was at a 5, but I was never concerned about Bridges, man. He was going to get it.
Yeah, I was never concerned. I was at it too, man. I wasn't even because we have a small sample size, man. It was only 20 games. It was only 17 games, 16 games. We're not even in a quarter of the season, right? But once again, the picks, he's never going to be able to live up to them picks. No. Because for those picks, you know what type of player you get? You get a guy like Giannis.
Yeah.
You get a guy like LeBron. When you're giving up 5 picks, that's who you get. But the reality is that they fleeced the Knicks for those picks. That ain't Bridges' fault. That's the Knicks for making the
That's
deal.
the price you pay for dealing
That's the
with
price
Brooklyn.
that's what it is. That's not on Bridges. You know what I mean? So he was never going to live up to that. Never. And even still to this day, people say, "Oh, if he plays better defense, then that's nonsense." No, that's not true because people felt and people still feel that we gave up too much for him. But that wasn't his fault. Once again, you see what Towns is doing, right? You see what OG Anunoby is doing. They're better players than him. Towns is an all-star. He's getting $50 million a year. He's supposed to be doing what he's doing.
Agreed.
That's why he makes that smooth. So, yeah, he's playing better because he's a better player. Yeah. OG Anunoby's getting $200-something million. He's a better player. So, yeah, they're going to play better than him. So what? We didn't give up this much for him. We got fleeced. That's what happens. So the reality is people are looking at the picks and what you gave up and what the return is on that. Thing. They're never going to get that return because no one would have ever did that. But the Knicks wanted to do it because they felt he was a good piece. Of course, Nova Scotia, right? Everyone talks about that, Supernova. So that played a big part before we made that move with Dante. Yep. But he's never, that's never going to be the issue. So that's why for me it was always at a 2 because of what my expectation of him was. I didn't expect him to come in, be all defensive, and still average 20. Like that doesn't happen, right? So to me, that's where I'm like people's perceptions and expectations are a little off, right?
Yeah, and appreciate every single one of you in the chat joining us here this afternoon. Like this Rover says in the chat, that's the price of friendship, man. Look, he's not worth 5 first-round picks, and, he's not worth that. But that's the price you had to pay to acquire him, And, obviously, like Josh Hart said, if it results in a championship, who cares, man? Like, I really don't care how many picks you give up. Like, this is the core. And this is only year 1 of the core. Like, people got to remember that. Like, we were talking before the stream. Like, this is only year 1 of this core. Like, imagine year 3 or year 4. When we start to fill in the gaps.
How many years did it take Boston to get to where they're at, man?
Yeah, it took them like 3 or 4 years to get to where they're at. And obviously, they grew through the age, like they were super young, and they're still young in Boston. But yeah, I mean, year 1, you're already seeing great signs of everything, and we still don't have Mitch, still don't have Precious, but yeah, the Bridges. Like I was a little bit worried, but it was all like, just give me what you were giving us these last couple of games, man. That's all I wanted to see, and it's a new situation for him. Brooklyn is different than Madison Square Garden. Like people got to remember that. Like playing in Brooklyn at Barclays is compared to playing in MSG. Some guys can handle it, some guys can't, and I'm not saying Bridges is one of those people. But he seems like he needs to kind of be uplifted by his teammates. He seems like he, is one of those guys. I could be wrong, but yeah, I mean, over these last couple, he's been great.
Agreed, man. Agreed. I'm glad you mentioned that part about playing in Brooklyn, playing in the Garden's totally different. It is, man. It is. Them lights feel different on your neck, man. It feels like hot lava. You know what I mean? It's totally different center stage, man. It is. And so when you're center stage and everybody's watching you, that's a different type of pressure. And not a lot of people can handle that, man. A lot of people fold up like cheap suits because they realize they cannot deal with what comes with playing on that stage, man, in front of everybody. You're in Brooklyn, you see a couple of people on the sidelines, that's great. But when you look over and you see all the guys you see on TV there every night, right? You can play in OKC, right? You can play in Minnesota or Memphis. There's nobody in the stands in February, right? No one really cares about the games. In the Garden, it's packed like it's the finals in January and February. There's a reason why. So, yeah, it's going to take time for some people to adjust. It is. Not everybody can be Josh Hart and just come over here and just be smooth with the transition. Not everybody could do that, man. So you got to take time. This is our team. We love this team. So let's support our guys, man.
I'm happy you said that last part because not everyone could be Josh Hart, or even Jalen Brunson for that matter, or even when we traded for OG Anunoby, the impact he was making right away. Like we went on a crazy run with OG Anunoby, and I think trading for Mikal, people expected the same results. They're like, all right, you need to come in here and produce right away, and look, he has been. So, yeah, hit some of these comments. Appreciate you in here. Nostalgic says 7 picks. Knicks tax. Yep. Mini Mikal was worth it. Yeah, I mean, look, 54% mid range. He's like teams go zone. He's one of the zone killers on the squad, and you absolutely love that he obviously has that in his game as well. Besides Nick's Twitter, wanted Bridges here. Sage of Knicks Path says feels like folks have been splitting hairs to find something to complain about. Knicks is winning 50 games plus. Trust. What's going on, Sage? Yeah, we're Knicks fans, right? There's always something to complain about. I mean, it's a long season. You can't. There's always something to complain about. But LV, got a question for you. There's been a lineup that I've been really enjoying watching over these last pretty much the entire season. Obviously, they're healthy now. Any guesses as to what that lineup is? Or what that lineup includes?
Shoot.
Campaign, Miles McBride, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and Karl Anthony Towns. That's a plus 25.1 differential, 133 points per possession. That lineup is also generating the most turnovers. And when you pair turnovers with speed, it's obviously lethal. So I guess we can transfer over to Campaign and Miles McBride, their impact that we've been seeing. I mean, what have you been seeing with those two, man? I'm Campaign, man. I love that guy.
The key word I'm going to use is spark plug, man. Spark plug, intensity, any word that you could think of that's an upbeat type of word, that's who Campaign is. One thing he stated when he came in, like his introduction video or speech he mentioned, he said, listen, man, he said, one thing you can't equate for or put into stats is energy and just things that you bring into the game. And that's what he does. He understands his role. He understands that he's not Jalen Brunson. He's not one of these other top tier guards, skill set wise. But what he can do is he can be a pest defensively. He knows how to stay on the court because of the intensity that he gives on both ends of the court.
Yeah.
His confidence is through the roof, even though he may know skill set wise, he's not as good as those guys. But because he believes he is, he plays like it. And that just is like infectious to the rest of that unit, like you just stated. Him and Deuce pairing together is like a match made in heaven, because now you're matching a guy that brings the same intensity at the top of the key defensively that Deuce brings. So both of those guys are in your chest, and you just can't shake them. And that just uplifts that second unit. And that's the beauty of what it is that both of those guys do, because then it ups the level of a guy like Josh Hart. It ups, of course, their level like Mikal Bridges or OG Anunoby, whomever's there in that 4 spot, and of course with Towns as well. So now you have that intensity, defensive intensity. They're creating turnovers, and then what creates turnovers, fast break points, like you stated. And then when the ball gets loose, who's going to get it? Josh Hart. He swings it out to Deuce, bang bang, and then you hit a whole guard and scream, Deuce.
Yes. Love that.
And that pretty much sparks that second unit. And that's exactly what this second unit is supposed to do. It's supposed to give a jolt to the offense and to that first unit to where they're able to kind of rest and relax. And then when you come back in the game, you bring Brunson back in, OG Anunoby, whomever else is on the bench, your lead is not, if not still the same, more so. And that's the importance of him. And believe it or not, he's kind of really taking kind of the luster of the whole Tyler Kolek thing out of the way. Because now, to me, I'm really thinking of Campaign down the future. We only got him on a 1-year deal. I believe it's only $3 million.
Yeah.
I'm looking to extend him for a couple more years. I think he's the perfect backup to Brunson that can really kind of be that bridge to really, from that second unit to that first unit to where we can kind of keep the whole momentum going offensively. So I think that's been he's been an exceptional pickup for the Knicks.
The thing about Campaign, right? He's bounced around the league a lot. Obviously with Philly last year, and we, hated him when he was with Philly. Had that little scruffle with Brunson in the playoffs. He's 30 years old. It's like I would have thought he's like 34, 35, but he's 30 years old. So I agree, man. I obviously what he's providing. Look, 44% 3-point shooter this year. Deuce is 44% 3-point shooter. Those two on the court are plus 137, plus minus 137. Combined, they have a 3.6 steal percentage. Fastest pace on the team. I tweeted that on the Knicks Nation page. But yeah, defensively, like you said, man, he's a small guy, but like he'll get into you. Like he ain't no pushover, man. Like he's small, but he's a pickpocketer. He could pick your pockets, and he can that pace with Deuce McBride and Josh Hart, they're running. And obviously the starting lineup is more on the slower side because Brunson. But yeah, that second unit, man, I mean, it's starting to form something, man. They're starting to gel some chemistry. And we still don't even have Precious Achiuwa and Mitchell Robinson back. So imagine that unit with Precious. That gets me excited, for sure.
Absolutely, because with Precious and Mitch, that's going to bring the defensive intensity for that second unit.
Yeah.
So now you got two stalwarts defensively backing up that, to get offensive rebounds, kicking out to Deuce for three or kicking out to Campaign for three. Those are back-breaking plays for the other team, right? So when they, you shoot a shot and, Mitch is getting the offensive rebound and they kick it out and, they're hitting threes, they're bombing threes left and right, that just takes all the life out of your team. Now you got to call timeouts because now you can't catch your breath because they're on you defensively from baseline to baseline. And then if you're missing shots, you have Mitch rebounding. Now they're kicking the guys out for three. You feel like you can't. It's like you're drowning out there. And so that's the beauty of what it is that they're bringing, man. And those guys, what I love about him and Deuce, they play like they got a chip on their shoulder. They don't feel like they've arrived. Yeah. They feel like they always have something to prove. And those are the best guys to go against. I mean, not go against, to have on your team. And even though you didn't like Campaign, you're going against them, you would love to have him on your team. And that's what he's bringing. He's bringing that type of organized chaos, I'll call it, to that second unit. So you match him with Josh Hart. That's why that intensity at the top of the key. So you got him at the 1, Deuce at the 2, Josh Hart at the 3. Those three right there are defensive beasts. So now they're constantly on like 10. You can't go off a screen because they're on your pocket. And then you're trying to get a loose ball. They're getting loose balls. Josh Hart is running all over the place. And then you're trying to run around. You're in a scramble drill. Then Deuce is banging threes. Lights out. Right? So now you got to call a timeout. You just like I said, you're drowning. You feel like you can't get a breath. And that's the beautiful addition of him, man. And then you pair him with Deuce and Josh Hart. It's outstanding, man. Outstanding.
Yeah, and like you said, they're hungry. Look, Deuce, Payne, even Kolek. I think he has kind of like that mold. Obviously, it'll take him a couple of years, but that lineup. So mixing with Towns is literally the best in terms of plus minus on the court defensively as well. So you see Tom Thibodeau going to that lineup a lot, and they play fast. They push the pace. And you have Towns pretty much spreading the floor out and spreading the ball out. And, you're going to see more of that lineup. Obviously, mixing with Precious Achiuwa coming back. The update on Precious is, what they say, he's like a week or so away.
They said next week, man.
Yeah. So, obviously, he will help our defense. But, that's exciting. Because Precious Achiuwa, man, a lot of people don't. He's big for us off that bench, man. He provides a lot. Toughness too. So I'm interested to see if he'll take those Jericho Sims minutes or if he'll still play 5 to 10 minutes. Jericho Sims I'm talking about. But Jericho Sims is also, he's been solid these past couple of weeks, So he's been solid.
Well. This is easy, man. You know what the part is why he's playing better? Because he saw Akaporte behind him doing what he was doing and the pressure was on. Listen, no one likes riding that pine, man. Pause. No one likes riding that bench. No one likes riding that bench, man. And when you're sitting there and you're watching a guy that's a rookie, he's got the crowd's attention. He's playing extremely well, right? It's not like he's out there stinking it up. So now you have to really contemplate, okay, is this my out here, right? Is he going to fold up like Grimes did? Because Grimes folded up when Dante was here. He was crying and complaining. Then we shipped him to Detroit. Now he's over there in Dallas talking crap. You saw him at the Dallas game running his mouth.
He's actually balling out too, which is actually
right. So now he's saying all this good stuff. He wasn't saying that when he was here.
Nope.
The ball feels heavy in my hand and I like all this stuff. So a lot of times when you feel pressure like that from somebody breathing down your neck trying to get minutes from you, You either rise or you fold up. And what Sims has done is he's taken his game to the next level. And that's because he feels the pressure of a guy like Akaporte behind him. And so to answer your question, I think Tibbs is going to want to play him and Precious together to probably see how that looks. Mm-hmm. I think he really, really likes what Sims is bringing as part of rim protection. That's big for Tibbs. Tibbs is huge on rebounding, defense, and rim protection. That's his claim to fame. That's who he is. So when you match him with Precious, I can see, Tibbs doing that, to have those two down there, low interior. Because Precious, the great thing about Precious is he can guard pretty much all 5 positions, maybe outside of the guy at the top of the key, but he can guard a wing, he can guard a 4, he can guard a 5, he can do that. So he's not going to really clog up the paint too much. Whereas Sims, that's his primary space, right? So I think they're going to probably play those two together and see what that looks like.
Yeah, but, Sims, got to give him his props, man. Like you said, Hukporty came in here and was a talk of the town, man. I made some videos about Hukporty. I love what I see from Hukporty, like, honestly. For being the last pick in the second round to even providing what he, obviously providing the Brooklyn game, and we saw some flashes in the Cavs game in the Summer League with the chemistry with Kolek, but, it's good problems to have, as they always say. But, yeah, Sims saw Hukporty and was like, nah, I gotta get back in the gym. I gotta prove myself again, and he has. I think he's the lowest in terms of percentage at the rim on the Knicks. So he's been that big man that Tom Thibodeau has been relying on off the bench, and he's been doing a heck of a job. Hit some of these comments. Nostalgic says shout out to Cam, man. Shout out to Campaign, man. Love that guy. John says if y'all stay healthy, y'all low key unstoppable in my opinion, and definitely competitive against Boston. Yeah, look, it's all about health, right? At the end of the day, guys are healthy right now in the starting 5. Anunoby's having a career year offensively. Defensively, I think he's been absolutely incredible. He's taken his game to the next level. The thing about this Knicks team, LV, is that there's so many guys to talk about. Like, we haven't even touched on Anunoby. Like, the thing I love about Anunoby is dude got the most money ever as a New York Knick this summer. Like $200-something million. Most of the time, guys are like, all right, I'm going to chill now. I'm going to maybe take a couple months and, get my strength, get my conditioning up. But nah, man, he's come out the gates hot. Like, offensively, he's taking his game to a next level. They call him Baby Kawhi with the mid-range stuff. Anunoby is just, he's the glue. Like, honestly, you saw him against Wagner yesterday, even though Wagner dropped 30, but Anunoby's still giving him problems. Still in the passing lane, still making it hard on him. So, Anunoby, man, what have you been seeing from him? He's been awesome.
You said it, man. He's our poor man's version of Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Period. And I think that there's a reason why he's so expensive, man. There's a reason why. The misconception, people are saying, oh, we shouldn't have paid him that much. Listen, if we didn't pay it, someone else was going to pay it. He's very, very expensive. Where do you get a guy that's 6'8", about 250 pounds? He's big, he's strong, he's fast. He can guard all 5 positions.
Yeah.
He's a defensive stalwart. He can step back, knock down threes. He can rebound, he can defend, he can block shots. He does it all. You put him on Boston, Boston's unstoppable. You put him on any of these contenders outside of the Knicks, he's going to be the same guy for them. Those guys are expensive, man. So you see what he's doing for us. You saw what he did for us in January, how he turned his team around. We were the talk of the town. We were the talk of the NBA with that addition that he made.
Yeah.
The addition that we made to bring him in there changed us. It took us to a totally different level. And now with him, with Cat, look what it's doing for him. He scored 40 points. His first time ever him scoring that amount of points. That's not just because. It's because he's really, really good, man. And then the next couple of games, right, what does he do? He stinks it up offensively. But you wouldn't know it because he's putting dudes in clamps on defense.
Yeah, yep.
So now he's impacting the game in so many ways. He doesn't need the pill to impact the game. He doesn't. And guys like that are very expensive, man, when you're trying to build a championship team. Because it's not too many guys that are willing to do what he's willing to do. Everybody want to get their shots up. They want to get their numbers, all that other stuff that he doesn't need.
Yep.
Because he's that good. And right now, honestly, he's probably like in conversation to be all defensive team,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
to be defensive player of the year, and also to make his first All-Star appearance. There's not too many guys out there like that, man. So that's why he's so expensive.
And I think he was the smallest. I think I wrote it down here. He's the only player under like 6'8" to have 100 threes, 100 steals, and 100 blocks in a season, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. So I'm trying to get the stat. But yeah, I mean, look, it's the price you pay. Yeah, 100 dunks, 100 threes, and 100 steals for OG Anunoby. He did that in a season. Yeah, he's been unstoppable. And I've been obviously on the board of the All-Star, and he can obviously win Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, it's going to be hard to do when Wembanyama is in the league. But yeah, I mean, he's just been absolutely incredible. Worth every single dollar. Like, you just had to get it done. Like, any world with OG Anunoby not on this team, like after that January he had, after the playoff run, him dunking on Embiid, putting his body on the line in Game 7 versus Indiana, his hamstring. Most guys won't do that, man. And Anunoby did that. He wanted to be a Knick. And like you said, you got a bunch of guys who don't care about stats, man. They just care about winning at the end of the day.
He does whatever we need him to do, man.
Yeah.
We need him to score 30 tonight. He could do that. If you put him on the best defensive player and shut him down, he could do that. You need him to rebound. You need him to get steals. You could do that. What guys? And then don't complain about any of it. You don't make him like that, man. So that's why he is what he is. He's expensive the way he is. Also, too, I'm glad you mentioned that Indiana series. If he doesn't go down with the hamstring, we beat the Pacers in 5, man.
Of course. Easy.
We beat him in 5. We were up 2-0. Easy with him. Easy. He went down with that hamstring. That's what changed the series.
Yeah.
So he's a game changer for us. He's a game changer. He's honestly, to me, outside of Brunson and Cat, the most important player.
Oh yeah. And
I would put him right there as third, 3A, and maybe give Josh Hart 3B. But he's right there, man. He's like right there as far as like who we cannot afford to not have on this team. Injuries happen, whatever. But I'm speaking of him just not be here and him be someplace else. That can't happen.
And the thing I love is that when OG dropped 40 in Denver, right? Karl-Anthony Towns had the quietest 30 and 15 you would ever see. Like, OG had 40, Cat had 30 and 15. And it's like, oh, Cat, 30 and 15. Wow, that's great. Brunson, 23 and 17 assists. It's, this team has so many ways to beat you. Like, it's obviously defensively that needs some work, but there's a reason why the Knicks are the top offensive team in the NBA. They got great players, great talent, and they're unselfish. And guys don't, like we said, guys don't care about stats, man. They don't. They just care about winning. And I think ultimately that's what's going to take us to the promised land. Right. That unselfishness. I think in 11 games this season, the Knicks or even more, the Knicks have 30 plus assists. It's like every game you're looking at.
It's 11 games.
It's 11 games, right?
Yeah, they've had 30 or more assists this year.
That's crazy. Like, it's right. You look at the box score after every game, it's like, oh, Knicks have 30 assists again. It's not just one guy that can beat you. And yeah, it's been awesome, LV, honestly.
Yeah, man. And I'm glad you mentioned also too the defensive part. I know a lot of people feel like they have to get better, but they have the top 10 in net rating in the league. Right? And then, people don't know what net rating is. That's how many points do you score and how many points do you give up. Right? So the Knicks are top 10 in points allowed. They're top 10 in points allowed in the paint. They're top 5 in defensive transition and second chance points allowed. They're top 5 in that. And they're top 10 in the rebounding margin. So they're getting defensively what they should get. It's just certain aspects, it just hasn't clicked yet. Should they get better with the outside threes to contest? That's something they need to get better with. But all in all, when I ran down those numbers for you, they're right where they should be. So certain things have to get better and have to be adjusted. But we're not so much in the dumps defensively that this can't be fixed. So if we're top 3 in the league offensively and we're like middle of the road defensively, let's say maybe 15 or 12 in the league, we're going to be a problem for anybody, including Boston. So the defensive stuff, will get better. And it slowly but surely has got started to get better. But, I just ran down those ratings because I want you to see how well this team is actually doing defensively.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good that you brought those numbers. People don't really see those behind the scenes stuff, but they're improving. Game after game, it's improving. And obviously with Precious coming back and the schedule, we'll go through the schedule in a bit. But, I mean, this month of December into January, the New York Knicks can get fat on a lot of victories. And that's not to say something like what happened in Utah can't happen again. But, home cooking is what we love. The Knicks are winning at home 5 straight in MSG. They're being that dominant home team, and you love to see that. And obviously, the big bad Orlando Magic, that's all we heard these last couple of weeks. They were 12-1, I think, in their last 13 or something like that. And the Knicks just obliterated them, like demolished them. And I know they're down Paolo, but they were winning without Paolo. So
yeah, man. Yeah, people need to stop with that. We're down Mitch. We're down Precious. It doesn't matter, man. In the words of the great Karate Kid, no mercy, man. No mercy. No mercy. Like it is. Everybody's hurt, man.
Yeah,
Everybody's hurt. But honestly, if you bring Paolo back, right? If you bring Paolo back, I watched that game. There was at one point in the third quarter, I believe we were almost up by 40 on them guys.
Yeah, it was crazy.
40. Do you understand what that is against a team that they say is the number 3 best defensive team, in the league?
Yeah.
Does Paolo come in and drop 50 on us? Does he do that? Then what does that do to Franz's, impact offensively? What does that do? That means that takes shots away from him. So what Paolo, and you add on Mitch, you add on Precious, it will be the same, man. It will be the same because offensively they just don't have it. And I think that what happened yesterday to them was one of the main reasons why we really, really made that Towns deal, because we identified that we hit a ceiling offensively. And in order to get into the elites with the elite teams, you got to be able to score the ball. Defensively, we can make adjustments, but if you can't score, you're not going to win in this league. I'm talking about against the elite teams that are up there. So what are your aspirations? And so for me, that's why you make that cat deal, because look at what we are. I mean, we made this team, they're third in the league defensively. We made them look like a joke last night. That's what offenses can do. So then if you come to the middle and you kind of meet and get better defensively like we were last night, we look like the best team in the league. But that's the importance of kind of taking care of the offensive piece first and then fixing the defensive piece. Because you see what it is with them. They're all defense. Their offense was putrid last night. But that's been putrid the whole season. They shot 40% from the field and 23% from 3. If you can't keep up with us offensively, you're finished.
Yeah, you're screwed.
And that's what we showed last night.
You're screwed. And yeah, I mean, you have to keep up with the Bostons, and now Cleveland's up there in the East. But the Knicks have kind of molded their team to beat Boston. And obviously, we'll see how that transpires at the end of the season. But yeah, you got to be able to score in this league, man. And the Knicks, what we've seen, throughout this season, LV, is when the Knicks shoot poorly, they lose. Like when the offense isn't where it needs to be, like the Utah game, the Dallas game that comes to mind. Defensively, they weren't where they were supposed to be to overcome the bad shooting on offense. But what you're seeing, what we've seen is offensively, when they're not shooting the ball well, we lose because we just can't make up for it defensively. I expect that like towards the middle of the season to balance itself out. Let's say there's going to be a game where we shoot 30% from 3 and we're not going to score 130 points. I think we'll be good enough defensively to win such a game. Right? You agree?
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because obviously defensively we expect that the offense is always going to be ahead of the defense.
Absolutely.
Especially with the talent we have on the team. So I expect that to balance itself out, and that's when I expect. Look, they're 8-2 in their last 10, but I expect that, like, as crazy as it sounds, they can be even better. Like, and with this schedule coming up, but yeah.
I think also too, it's a learning curve, right? Like, this team is, once again, we said it earlier, right? This team is really just getting together. They've only been together 21 games, guys. They don't have a full season to really get an understanding of who they are and what they have. Right, so they're still in the feel-out stage. So, to me, the game against Utah, the game against Charlotte, to me, those are flush away games. I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but to me, it is because that's them still learning about each other, learning how to come in ready to go. They should know that as pros, yes, but there's camaraderie that still is being built here also. So you're gonna have some days where you're gonna have a doozy. This is a long season, man. It's a long season, and guys, I don't know if you realize this league is tough. This is the best league in the world. I know Charlotte stinks, but they still got a lot of good offensive dudes over there and NBA guys. So you got to respect your opponent. And to be honest with you, I think the Knicks went into Utah lackadaisical. They didn't really care. They felt they could just walk in there and blow them out. And they did have the same approach against Charlotte the day after Thanksgiving. So they're understanding, but this takes time, that you got to come ready to play. And you got to understand your teammates, understand who needs kind of like a boost. Josh Hart doesn't need a wake-up call. He's ready as soon as he gets out the bed to play. Same thing with a guy like Campaign, right, and a guy like Deuce. Yeah. So it's a mentality. So the rest of the team have to follow suit with that. But that's all in adjustment time, an adjustment period. And to your point, I think mid-season, probably like around like the All-Star break sometime around there, you're going to really see them kind of hit their stride, right, especially when Mitch comes back. And then you'll start to see exactly who this team really is. But all these other losses and the way they've lost, that's growing pains, man. You know what I'm saying? It's, they got to kind of get this right. And I still don't think we're out of the woods yet with certain things. But give it time. Like you stated, you see the schedule in December, should look pretty going forward.
It does, man. It does. Hit some of these comments. Appreciate every single one of you in here. This Rover says the Nigerian prince has earned every dollar we paying him. Only 20 games in. Every single dollar, man. Every single dollar. Nigerian prince. Love that.
That's the first time I ever heard that, ever.
Yeah?
Especially on my show. I've never had nobody call OG Anunoby that, man. But, hey, man, I salute him for that. That's a great breakdown.
Prezi says, Sims high, finally healthy and playing consistent minutes. What do you expect? He's playing his role. The only thing Huck has in common is he is also drafted 58th in the second round. Yeah, I mean, look, Huck Porty obviously is a project, man. He's a project. Even though he played, good basketball overseas and, has gotten mentored by, some good NBA players. But yeah, credit to Sims has balled out because Tom Thibodeau just put in Huck Porty out there to like wake up Sims. Like, all right, Jericho, you see Huck Porty doing his thing out here. We need you to step up, my man. And Jericho has stepped up for sure. And look, I mean, we need it too. We need that big off the bench. And to be fair to Jericho, offensively, I feel like the Knicks have missed him. I want to say like a couple of times a game on lobs. There's a couple of times a game when pick and roll stuff, Brunson misses him on lobs and he's open. So we can get more offensively from Jericho as well. And we know he can jump out the freaking gym. So, yeah. OG isn't consistent enough yet for All-Star. Definitely most improved player, Nostalgic Nick says.
I'm not sure about that. I'm when I say All-Star for him, I don't mean like he's going to be a first pick All-Star, like starting or I can see him this year possibly coming in as an alternate. But to me, that's still making an All-Star team. So I can see something like that for him. Offensively, he's not consistent enough. I get it to be an All-Star because of also the players that he has. But if you match his defensive intensity on top of what he's doing offensively, I can see that happening. I'll give you a perfect example of that. Look at a guy like Bam Adebayo. He's not scoring 28, not 29 points a game.
He's having a down year, right?
Right, but what I'm saying is that you're not expecting Bam to put up cat numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he's in there.
Package.
Right, he's the whole package, man. And that's why, believe it or not, it's kind of a sidebar. He was playing a lot more in the Olympics than Jason Tatum because of what he can bring on the defensive end. So he could be, Bam's an all-star. So I can see OG Anunoby kind of fitting in that same type of mold as a Bam Adebayo. Now, he's not going to get some of these shot opportunities because of the weapons around OG Anunoby. But if he continues on this ascension that he's on right now, I can see him squeezing in as an all-star, as an alternate.
Yes, sir. Aaron says, good co-host. Yes, LV. You can follow him on his YouTube channels down below in the description. Does a great job as well, post games and stuff. Yeah, man, just bantering back and forth, talking Knicks on this Wednesday afternoon. Um, obviously the Knicks are playing well. I got a poll in the YouTube chat. What are you most excited about currently? Bridges looks good. McBride Payne duo, Cat and Brunson pairing, or everything. Everything is at 59%. What are you most like? What have you seen these last 10 games that have gotten you most excited, LV?
I think the constant growth, man. I think we're getting better each game, right? We're a totally different team than what we were in the beginning of the season. That Boston loss, everyone was panicking. Everybody was panicking.
First game.
And I was there. I was there opening night in Indiana. I was there in the Garden opening night.
Oh, okay.
And they look fabulous that opening night. But those first, I would say 10 games, everyone was worried. Everyone's panicking. But these last 10, you're starting to see them get it. So to me, it's the growth, man. You know what I'm saying? It's the period of constantly going up, constantly getting better. That's the key. Are we continuing to get better? Are we continuing to get better? And I see that. The same thing with Bridges, right? Is he continuing to get better? I'm gonna kind of give you guys breaking news. This is what I give on my show, but I don't see us winning a championship this year, and not because we're not good enough. We're not this. We have to kind of get to that point.
Don't say that, man. Don't say that.
To where Boston is, but took Boston time. So what I'm saying is, I can see us Eastern Conference Finals playing Boston and getting them to 7 games. I can see that, and to me, that's a successful season because that's something to build on for next year, right? Coach, what's going on, man? Appreciate you coming through, rocking with us, Coach. Salute you, man. Everybody, Coach is one of my subscribers, man. Appreciate him coming through, rocking with me and Knicks Nation. Salute you, Coach. But so that's the thing. So for me, it's the constant growth, man. It's the constant growth. And I like the fact that we're getting better each game. Because look, guys, these last 10 games, we're 8-2. You would have took this at the beginning of the season. You would have took this. If, this last stretch right here, we could be 8-2. And that's the beauty of that, man. I love the growth, man. And that's where you have to continue to get better. And here's the biggest key of all of it, guys. Mitch is not even back. We didn't even get Precious back. So we didn't get our defensive stalwarts back in that Baja, in the paint is what I call it, to where those guys are defensive intimidators. We didn't even see a situation where he plays Cat and Mitch together. We didn't see a situation where you got Mitch, OG Anunoby, and Precious Achiuwa out there defensively. Look at what that can look like for us going forward.
Lockdown.
So this is extremely, extremely exciting, man. The ascension of this team, and all we're doing is going up, guys. And that's the excitement for me going forward.
Yeah, well said. And look, you said you don't think we're winning a championship this year. A lot of Knicks fans probably didn't want to hear that, but sometimes you got to be real, man. You got to keep it real. But hey, I wouldn't be obviously. Championship it's super hard to do, and you got to get through a lot of tough teams, and things happen. Whatnot, injuries, whatnot, knock on wood, don't want that to happen again. But yeah, and the beauty is you can still add, man. You can still add like buyouts at the deadline. And, this Knicks team is still, they're currently finding their groove. And, right now they are number 4 in the Eastern Conference. Orlando is still ahead of them. And the East, to me, there's only like Orlando, I get they're 15-8. They're still a young team. But what do you think? There's only 2 teams I'm really worried about, right? I mean,
you said two.
No, I said there's only one team.
You said 2 teams?
I'm sorry. There's only one team I'm worried about.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't worry at all about the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know how you felt early on in the season when they were like 17-0 or something like that, or 16-0. I did not care because they are food to us, and obviously.
Oh man, and let's get everybody in the chat, please throw a fire emoji for Ant for saying that. They are food to us. Exactly, Ant.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nobody should be worried about Cleveland. Nobody. Don't worry about them. Listen, we had them up 13. We was up 13 on them in the Garden, man. We had them by 13 easy.
Yeah,
Garland went off in the 4th, and that's how they was able to skate out of the Garden with a win. We weren't even in our flow yet. We don't even have Mitch. We didn't even have Precious, and we were up by 13 on them cats, man. I'm not worried about them. When Mitch comes back, all them dudes are going to be shaking in their boots, including Jared Allen. So I'm not worried about them at all.
Yeah.
So trust me, the only team I'm worried about is Boston. Yes, you got to respect your opponent. I get that. Like, I understand. You can't go into there and think that you could beat anybody, hence why we almost lost to Charlotte, right? I get it. But are you really, really worried about Cleveland in a 7-game series? 7 games. I'm not at all.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
And the reason why I say that, not because of Cat, not because of Brunson, is because of Mitch. He changes everything for us defensively,
especially against that team.
Right, especially against that team.
Yeah.
And so that's why, to me, I'm not worried about it. Everything else is a plus for us. But in the middle, where they really get busy, because they have 2 bigs in Jared Allen and Mobley, but you put Mitch down there with the way Towns is rebounding. What did you say? Food,
man. Yeah, I said, that was a I've misspoke. It's one team. It's Boston. And Boston's an elite team. Like, let's not get it twisted. Let's give them their flowers, because Boston's absolutely incredible when healthy.
Yeah.
And Cleveland, I'm out. The lights were too bright. That's what Jared Allen said after that series. Mitch freaking owns them. And when you have Cat, I think, what he had 10 rebounds in the first quarter versus the Pelicans or something like that. Like,
man.
He's grabbing everything. But yeah, I mean, only one team, but obviously there's going to be matchups along the way, but still super early for that talk. But it's fun to have. Milwaukee started to get 7 in a row from Milwaukee, but I don't know. Milwaukee just doesn't do it for me. But
They're too old, man. They're too old. I mean, they got to get Middleton back. I mean, I think he is back. I don't know. I'm not sure. But they're too old, man. They're very similar to Philly, man. They get a lot of injuries. Those guys, Giannis is playing at MVP level. We expected that from him. But they don't match up well against us. They just don't. They just don't. You know what I'm saying? And then their bench is atrocious. They have nobody coming off the bench even providing anything. I mean, they have they have Portis coming off the bench, right? But outside of that, they don't really have anybody. I mean, so once again, right, we're not really speaking of 1 or 2 games. We're speaking of 7 games. Can you beat a team 4 out of 7? That's the key, man, when you start thinking of playoffs and championships. And to me, that's why Boston is the top of the food chain. You got to beat them 4 out of 7, man. That's tough to do. That's really, really tough with that team. And it's not just the skill set with them. They got the experience. That's what propels them, because they know how to win. So in certain moments in the game where it's winning time, they know what to do. They know the set to run. They know who to go through to win those games in big time moments. And that you can't equate for that. Like, the only thing you can really learn from that is experience. That's the only thing that you can really match with that, is they have the experience to really help propel them in a 7-game series.
Which is why I really wanted to face them last year, to kind of, even though I knew we wouldn't have won, a lot of injuries, but I just kind of, get to the Eastern Conference Finals, just get there, and, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So, LV, you talked about the schedule, right? It's looking good for this New York Knicks team, man. Obviously, they're 5 straight in MSG. They're 8-2 in their last 10. You got Charlotte coming in here, dealing without LaMelo Ball, and Detroit. Going to Toronto, OG Anunoby's homecoming. Don't think he played there last year for them, so that would be cool. And then Atlanta is I think the quarterfinal play-in.
Yeah, that's the NBA Cup game.
That's the NBA Cup game that they just added. So, and you can go to Vegas or whatnot. What do you think about the NBA Cup?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'm not really a big NBA Cup guy.
Yeah,
I'm more into the playoffs, man. I'm more into building, getting us prepped and ready for that. That's what I'm thinking about. I mean, to me, that's the main thing. The NBA Cup to me is good for like the younger players, because it gets them that $500K, right? I think it's great for them, right? Because that's really what you're playing for. Right, but I mean, a midseason award, I mean, that's cool and all, man. But that don't really matter, man. What matters is at the end. That's the key. And so for me, like you asked me earlier, like, I want to know we're getting better. Like, we got to continue to have an upward ascension. And that to me was, how I think of the NBA Cup. The $500K, the guys like Brunson and the other cats, that ain't, they wipe their nose with that. But for a guy at the end of the bench like Dottier and Kolick, that's great for them. And believe it or not, in the NBA Cup, a lot of times for a lot of teams, that's who really they're playing for. You know what I mean? Try to get their boys $500K.
We should have stuck to sports, man. I think they won $50,000 for just advancing to the quarterfinal. It's stupid money that we can't even like imagine. But Yeah, it's so if they lose in a quarterfinal, they guarantee themselves $51,000. If they lose in the semifinal, they guarantee themselves $102,000.
Oh wow.
If they lose in a championship game, that's in Vegas, they guarantee themselves $200,000. And obviously, if they win the NBA Cup,
Oh wow. So they get half of that.
yeah, they get half.
Oh wow, that's even better.
So even if they go to Vegas and lose, you still get $200K.
You still get something.
Yes.
Okay.
And then obviously you win the NBA Cup, you get $514,000.
Right. Because I believe after this they go to Vegas after this. If they win next week.
Yeah, I believe so because I think the last two games are in Vegas, right?
Because if I'm correct, the semifinals and finals is in Vegas, right?
I think so. I think so. Those in the chat, you can correct us if we're wrong, but yeah. So look, this schedule's lightening up. December, you got Washington, Orlando again. They're undefeated at home. January's, I mean, it's a good schedule, Ovi. You know, it's a good schedule. After the gauntlet that they put us through early on in the season, all these away games, you go to January. I mean, you have a stretch in January where you're home for the entire month.
Right.
Your only away game is at Philly, which is a train ride, and at Brooklyn.
Right.
So
you're basically home.
You don't get on a plane at all.
Right.
In the month of January.
Right.
Ever since January 6th.
Right. So, January 6th to what is that? January 25th, right? Wow.
Yeah. They don't get on a plane. So
right.
We can have another 2024 January in 2025. Sign me up for that.
Wow. Yeah, look at that, man. Wow, they don't go back on the road to February 4th.
Yeah. I mean,
holy cow.
Hey, that's why the gauntlet early on in the season, all these away games, you were like, just get through it.
Yeah.
You know, just get through it.
Yeah, agree. That I'm glad you said that because that's how I felt about that road trip. Everyone was tripping about them going 3-2. I said, listen, man, at least they're 3-2, man.
I like 3-2. Yeah, I like.
Listen, man. Listen, I don't know if everybody's ever been on a business trip. I have, right? I don't know if you have, Ant. 5 days is a lot to be gone, like a whole week.
From your family,
they were going for they were going for like 10 or 11 days, man. And going from different time zones and stuff like that. I know it's an NBA player. I know, like people say, "Oh, they got it." It's still not easy, man. There's still people. Like it's not easy. It's not
2K, man.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So you're gonna have a doozy night because you gotta kind of figure out time zones and they were going from Utah to Denver. Like that's a lot, and then you want them to play after Thanksgiving in Charlotte, like. So, they had two clunkers, right? In Utah and Charlotte. It happens. And, of course, in Dallas, right? But Dallas, once again, Dallas is tough, man. They're one of the elite teams. You see that lineup. They are stacked.
They're lengthy, too, man. Yeah.
Listen, Dallas, they put together a roster, man. They're really trying to get that West, right? So, they are no joke. They get back Gafford. They get back Doncic. And you see the lineup they got. So once again, right, when you're trying to compete with the elite teams, you see what you're running into. You run into a buzzsaw when you play against these top teams. But out of that, we still were able to get 3-2. So my thing is that's a win, you know what I mean? Because you're still figuring each other out. But I'm just glad we didn't go 0-5 or 1-4. You know what I'm saying? So that's a tough stretch, man. You know what I'm saying? And so now I'm glad you brought up that schedule. We're basically home for January, still facing tough competition, but I think this is a good time for us to hit our stride, man, especially in December. And then around that time, we should be probably hearing, some rumblings about Mitch's return date, right, around that time, which is going to be fabulous. So that's good. Yeah. That's a good thing to see.
Yeah, so look, 13-8, man. Like you said, 3-2 on a road trip. I wanted 4-1, but 3-2 on a West Coast trip, you sign me up for that. Over 500, as long as it's not, a losing West Coast trip. You had big games in Phoenix and Denver. Two amazing teams, and you pulled out a victory in Charlotte. Yes, you won by 1 point, but a win's a win. They all count the same. And we all had this game versus Orlando circuit on our schedule. Felt like a playoff game, man, honestly. And I was excited, woke up, hype. I was like, ooh, Orlando coming in. Big bad Orlando, you smoke them. And then, obviously, schedule's looking up. But, yeah, I mean, things are looking right in Knick land, LB. Is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And you got to be happy, man. And I also, too, I think last night's one was important for the league to see because that put the league on notice.
Except Shaq, who always poo-poos on the Knicks. Every chance.
I mean,
This guy, man.
what's his name now? The big what? Every time he's the big something.
Yeah, this guy's always picking against them, not giving us any credit. He
Right.
did the whole 76er series. Whatever. I don't care.
Right. So I mean, it's expected, man. You're gonna have the Knicks hate, but you got to kind of make them believers, like we made Kenny Smith a believer, right? When he's talking that craziness about Brunson,
He switched up. Yep.
right? Switched up quick. That's what happens, man. That's what happens when you expose
Switch
dudes. They
up.
switch up quick. They start stuttering, right? So last night was big because we put the league on notice, man, and everybody saw on primetime television on TNT what we can be. And I think that was huge, especially with the momentum that Orlando was coming in with, and them being number 3 in the East, and everybody kind of looking over us because of our defensive numbers. And we blew them out by almost 40 last night. Almost 40, man. The game was over in the third quarter. I was looking at the clock like, okay, all right, is this game over yet? Like it was over, man. It was over. We scored 71 points in the first half. We were up 71-51 after the first half. Cat had 10 rebounds in the first half. Deuce had 10 points and Campaign had 7. It was only 20 points off to the bench for those two guys. I mean, our offensive efficiency was through the roof last night. And that was for the whole league to see against a team that they feel is one of the best defensive teams in the league. We made them look like a joke. Brunson had dudes on skates.
Deuce, too. Amazing.
You know what I mean? So you're sitting there saying, okay, well, got KCP versus Brunson. You got Suggs. And he made them boys look like G League players, man. None of them dudes can check them. And one thing Tibbs said, what Tibbs is fabulous at, and he said, listen, Brunson has seen this all last year. So this whole thing of putting length on him or talk, that doesn't matter. He's seen it all. And when you get to that level.
Yeah, they put Wagner on him, right?
That's what I'm saying. But it doesn't matter, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter with him.
Yeah.
He's gotten to that level, to that elite scoring level, right? He finished top 5 in MVP for a reason. So he's seen things now. He's seen it all. So I'm not really too worried about him. And the most important thing for me out of last night's game was that he didn't play the whole fourth. And you saw him over there on the sideline riding a bike, cracking jokes. That's what you want to see from your top dog, because you're going to need him to be Brunson when April and May run around, for him to be that killer at the top of the key. Because in the playoffs, it doesn't matter about sets. Everybody knows what you're running. So now, can you get a bucket? Right? Yeah. That's what matters in the playoffs. And we know he can. So the better he can rest from blowout wins, the better he's going to be for the playoffs.
Yeah, and these last couple of games versus New Orleans, the guys didn't play in the fourth. Besides Mikal, Orlando. So, those moments are important, obviously, because you know how Tibbs is with the minutes. Don't have to go down that road, but when we need the
listen,
guys,
he's gotten better these last 2 games.
He has been. He has gotten extremely better. Even, I would like to see some
2-game sample, Ant.
I would like to see some more Daddy in there, but that's
right.
Neither here or there. But yeah, man, this was fun. Put some fire emojis in the chat if you enjoyed this segment. LV is gonna be, possibly, every week we could chop it up, doing a recap and whatnot, talking everything Knicks, and this was fun, LV. This was fun.
Absolutely, man. Nice seeing you. I appreciate you inviting me on, man. I truly, truly do. Knicks Nation, seeing his rise, man. He's doing a great job over here on the Knicks stuff, man. So everybody continue to subscribe to him. Also come through and subscribe to me as well. But I appreciate you having me on today, man. Great time, as always.
As well, man. Look, you bring great insight. But yeah, we should do this definitely more often. And anything else you wanted to touch on before we head up on out of here? Enjoy the rest of the day.
Nah, man. I mean, I'm definitely be going live. I do live pregame. Post game. After every game, I'll be going live tomorrow after the Charlotte game. So please come through and check that out. And let's continue supporting our boys, man. This is going to be an amazing season, man. An amazing season. So we got to be there for the whole ride, man. You got to understand, this Knicks team is one of the best teams ever assembled, man, for us. You know what I mean? I know the record doesn't say it, but just offensively, like, when have we ever seen an offensive team like this from the Knicks ever? Ever. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, enjoy this ride, man. Enjoy this ride, because I'm telling you, we're seeing something right now that we haven't seen probably ever from our team, man. So it should be vibes. What's going on, man? Appreciate you coming through, rocking with us, one of my other subscribers. But yeah, man. So yeah, man. Just appreciate you having me on. Let's continue to do this, man. Thank you.
Got a lot of fire emojis in the chat, so we'll definitely continue this on a weekly basis. LV has a channel down low. Obviously, most of you know him, but Link is in the description. Subscribe to his channel. Does great things over there. All right. Let's go, Knicks. Got to get it done next game. Let's go. I'm Anthony from Knicks Nation. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.